Destiny 2 The Final Shape is Bungie's end of a 10-year epic journey with just so many highs and just as many lows for the franchise. This series has been through a lot and is arguably one of the best games to create the whole live service model that so many other companies are just trying and failing to do. The Final Shape is a culmination of events that are technically linked back to Destiny 1, serving as an end to the Light and Dark saga, hopefully leading us to a whole new saga in the franchise. Players like me have been in and out of this series. I've gone through just so much with Bungie, celebrating the updates that work and rightfully just tearing into them when they deserve it. I'm going to be going over my experience with the Final Shape now that I've completed most of the expansion, letting you guys know what works, what doesn't, and if I even recommend this for fans and even new players to the series. If you're new here, welcome. I'm a lifelong gamer who's been balancing gaming with my adult life that includes an 8 to 5. I don't get any early access keys, and I like to bring a realistic perspective to video games, helping you guys decide what's really worth your money and what's also really worth your time, since we're all just so limited on time. Help the channel out with a like or subscribe and help us hit that 500 goal. It's basically going to be our channel's first milestone. Speaking of first, I'm going to be running a giveaway too. I'm going to be handing out a Final Shape key to anyone who comments. Just leave a comment on this video and let me know why you play Destiny 2, and if you stop playing, why did you stop? I'm going to be announcing winners in a week. Good luck to you all. To understand the whole story and everything with Final Shape, you're going to have to have basically played or at least watched some videos on the story of Destiny 2. I'm a day one on and off player. I've gone from casual with some expansions to just straight tryhard that's running raids weekly, grinding raid armor. I want to cover the story first because for me at least, it's huge, it's important, and I think it's a really big high note in this expansion. The story has 34 parts to it. There are 8 campaign missions and some secrets that we're all still discovering as a community. I've praised the Witch Queen expansion before as my favorite Destiny 2 expansion, but I'm just going to come out and say that I think the Final Shape just outdoes it. From the beginning, there's this huge emphasis on the story and cutscenes. It's setting the stage for this epic Avengers moment against the Witness. Without spoiling or talking about the story for 30 hours, you're basically going into the Traveler into a whole new area called the Pale Heart, and you're fighting your way to the Witness, who is trying to create the Final Shape, which is a twist on reality that's kind of like altering or ending the world in some way. To sum up what the Witness is, it's basically a combination of entities from the first civilization that mastered the darkness. It's been chasing the Traveler and ending civilizations along the way to kind of bring salvation through this thing it calls the Final Shape. The stakes are high, it feels epic from beginning to end. Every mission kept me engaged in the story as you work your way through all the way to the end. I played this one on the legendary difficulty and I thought it was a great challenge, but also not impossible. You do get some cool rewards for doing that. To top things off, the end really wasn't the end here. The raid this time is an extension of that story. And after the first people completed the raid, Bungie surprise dropped an awesome 12-man mission that finally ends things in this expansion. Not only are the stakes high, but the themes I think in the campaign work really well. You've got Cade 6 returning Jon Snow style, but it's not done in like a cheesy or weird way. It does make sense when you think about it. And I mean, on top of all of that, every member of the Vanguard is struggling with their own demons that the Witness is trying to expose and manipulate. Zavala's arc, for example, is amazing. Sadly, we don't have the amazing voice work from Lance Reddick, but Keith David is a great replacement. I think he does a great job stepping up during Zavala's most pivotal story moments. Next is the open world. We're in a new area now called the Pale Heart, and it might be my favorite new area in Destiny 2. The environment is gorgeous. It's got so many familiar places that you go through during this campaign because it's basically kind of just like memories that are just brought to life here. You've got corruption as well, where you can see the toxicity of the Witness, as well as new and old enemies. We've also got a new faction of enemies that are here called the Dread. Most aren't really reskins. I think a couple are basically reskins, but these guys they just feel great to fight. There's also a lot of secrets here, just like most of their maps. I mean, you've got these like feather things to collect, secret chests, secret missions. I mean, again, there's so much that we're all still discovering as a community. What's really cool about the map this time around is that it's a completely solo adventure to just you and your fire team. No one's there to help. It keeps this as a personal struggle against the Witness, and I think it goes really well with the narrative of the game. The map is basically just one long fight all the way to the end. And when it comes to exploration, you've got these zones where you can basically raise your activity rank, and it basically just leads up to this boss battle. Beating 3 leads to a secret mission for this class exotic, and a piece of armor that's basically the first of its kind for Destiny 2. The last thing I'll say about the open world is that the graphical style of Destiny 2 really works here. I've said this in prior reviews. I think the graphics in Destiny 2 are amazing, and I think the environment here is very screenshotable, if that's even a word. You're just going to want to just stop and look at things. There are really cool moments, and I think the graphics just immerse you in this game. When it really comes down to it, though, gameplay is the reason that I keep coming back to this game. And that's because it's just as rewarding, I think, as you want it to be. This game is overwhelming for just so many players, but I mean, the core of it is just so simple and fun. There are so many people that I personally know that play this one casually. They're still able to raid, they're still able to have fun. The campaign narrative is great in this expansion, but they've added new enemies, and that's kind of just the spice that Destiny 2 needed. On top of that, we've got light raid mechanics, and these are basically integrated into the campaign. If you ask me, the raids are the best content in Destiny 2, and it's nice to kind of see that complexity added to the missions. The whole core gameplay loop, though, comes down to getting loot, getting overpowered guns and armor, and crafting a build where you do max damage. The RNG is as addicting as ever with the whole new loot. It's also seriously just a blast. I mean, I do love that new rocket pistol, and I don't see myself ditching it for a while. This expansion, I think, also comes with the best raid that Destiny 2 has ever had, and as well as a secret mission that unlocked for everyone after the raid, which is also the first of its kind, I think, ending this epic story in just this crazy fashion. I still believe that core Destiny 2 gameplay is a blast. It's gotten just so much better than Destiny 1, which was, in my opinion, really repetitive. Build crafting has gotten really good, and it keeps the game exciting. You know, speaking of builds, they've also added a new subclass called Prismatic. It is overpowered, and it's supposed to feel overpowered. Prismatic is the blend of light and dark subclasses, letting you basically multi-class in the game. It's insane what's possible here. I think it's a great twist on the build system. You're able to basically mix Flame and Strand, for example, and create just like this really different type of build. Speaking of Strand, unlocking that subclass is also done way better than the last expansion, Lightfall. So far, I've been saying just so much good about this because there really is, I think, a lot of good. I do have to be critical here, though. I can't just glaze the game. And I do have to explain, I would say, what my one issue is with this expansion, and that's new player acquisition. As a Destiny 2 player, people look at me like I'm insane or a fake gamer when I say that I play this game. I play everything, guys, and this is seriously my guilty pleasure. The game pulls off live service to me, and despite the missteps, I think Final Shape actually corrects this, and it ends the whole saga perfectly for the fans. If you are new to the series, though, it is extremely hard for me to recommend this because you just have so much catching up to do. It's very complicated. You're going to have to play the expansions that are prior to kind of understand how big of a deal this one is. And I mean, sadly, my biggest issue here is the whole seasonal model that Bungie had implemented. They basically locked away so much story content behind the seasons. And I mean, even for someone like me, I did skip some seasons. I mean, I haven't played all of them, especially the ones after Lightfall. I was freaking confused. I had to figure out what happened on YouTube to even understand this whole Wish thing and what went on. I almost wish Bungie did something that made that whole new player experience a lot more smooth. Because if you ask me, there is a great game that's hidden behind so much complexity. And I mean, even if it means making some quick recap missions or maybe just some scenes available for new players to jump in. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm a player that's been playing for forever, but I don't really think that there's a really easy way for people to just get into this game. To wrap up most of my thoughts, Destiny 2's The Final Shape does stick the landing. This is the Avengers Endgame moment. Bungie honestly killed it with this DLC. I think the delays were well worth it. Seriously, guys, I mean, delay more shit if this is what we're going to get. The campaign is an amazing time. It's emotional, fun, it has depth, and there's just this epic adventure that's leading to this just insane last stand against the Witness. The environment is the best new map that we've had, filled with secrets, and I mean, still being discovered to this day by the community. Prismatic is great, even though it's a little bit weird to get used to it at first. And I mean, on top of that, a new enemy type, an insane raid, some reworks to the game, and I mean, probably just so many other things that I'm forgetting. Bungie seriously cooked here with this. And I think my rating for the Final Shape expansion is a 10 out of 10, with just one exception. I think it's a 10 for fans. It's everything a fan of this series would want in an expansion for Destiny 2. But as I said earlier, it's so hard to get new players into this. I was really just debating having, maybe giving this one a 9 just for that reason. But I think this expansion just does so much right. I can't fault Bungie for decisions that they made with the whole seasonal story. It looks like they're trying to fix it with episodes. I'm really not sure where that's going to go. But, the seasons do get in the way for new players. If you are a new player, I recommend you play all the expansions to kind of just understand what's happening. It'll seriously pay off when you get to this one. And if you want to catch up on any of the seasonal story things, there are some great channels on YouTube that address and they explain things like Bife's channel. Destiny 2 overall is an up and down experience for just so many people, but this is the ultimate payoff. If you haven't played, it is free. There's so much content that goes on sale or is free for some weeks. I definitely recommend people dive in and experience this, especially if you've taken a break. I mean, we are at a crazy, well-deserved high point here. If you've taken a break, really consider coming back. And if you're new, I know it's overwhelming. I know I just, said it's a pretty big negative, but if you can get into this, it is well worth it. That wraps up my review for Destiny 2's The Final Shape. Let me know what you think about this expansion if you've played it, and don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, help out the channel. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.